its debut in Portland, Oregon today. You see, it says, quote, "Dear Department of Homeland Security, great job protecting buildings instead of the Constitution. Enjoy your new life in Argentina." You're exiled, presumably. Here's one addressed to the Homeland Security Director. Director Chad Wolf, is trading citizens' constitutional rights worth the belly rubs you get from your racist boss? That's one way these citizens of Portland are reacting to the influx of unidentified federal officers who have been beating up Americans nightly in protests in that city. Last night, Portland's mayor was among the protesters who were tear-gassed by federal officers. He called it an unprovoked and, quote, egregious overreaction. He said right after being gassed, "I am not afraid, but I am pissed off." Today, the Inspector General for the Justice Department announced he's opening an investigation into the actions of Justice Department personnel in Portland, including allegations that officers have concealed their identities and used force improperly. The IG also says his office will investigate the actions of department personnel in Lafayette Square outside the White House in June when protesters were beat up in advance of a presidential photo op. And it's, intriguing news, potentially constructive news, that someone will investigate what federal officers are doing, beating up protesters while moving in unidentified phalanxes where they don't use name badges or insignia to identify themselves. But I will also say, bear in mind that the Attorney General, Bill Barr, is scheduled next week to give his first ever testimony to the House. How much do you want to bet Bill Barr is going to be conveniently unable to comment on Portland or Lafayette Square because now they're under active investigation by the Inspector General, so he couldn't possibly remark. Yeah, watch for that. That's going to do it for us tonight. See you again tomorrow. Now it's time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell.
David Rachel, and it was July 6th. I'm looking at the actual transcript. July 6th, when you and I chatted about the Republican convention in Florida, and both of us were very doubtful that it would actually happen, and we had to wait until now to discover how correct our doubts were.
It's untenable, and it has been untenable from the very beginning. And when the Jacksonville sheriff, the sheriff of Duval County, came out last week and was like, no, can't do it. I'm a Republican. I would love to be able to do it. It's my job. Can't be done. You guys haven't even got it together to plan what venues you're going to use for what thing. Not possible. It was just a matter of time before they had to call the thing off. But now I don't actually even know what they're going to do. They're like going back to North Carolina after canceling there and dissing them, and they haven't made any plans for that version of the convention either. I mean, what a mess.
No, you could listen to every word Donald Trump said about it today at the White House briefing and come away with it with no idea what they're going to do.
I think he just thinks that if he shows up,
in a quarter mile,
things will just kind of fall into place.
Only 204 West Lexington Road, and then keep to the left
North Carolina,
150
Jacksonville,
feet.
Florida, Xanadu, anywhere would need more than 4 weeks to plan for a convention of any considerable size, given what's going on with, even without what's going on with COVID. With COVID, you need considerably more time than that, and they just assume it's all going to be fine. It's not going to be fine, and I don't think we're going to end up with anything.
No, where can they go? That's exactly it. That's where we are. Thank you, Rachel.
Call Xanadu on their behalf.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I fully support the Xanadu convention. Fully support that. Thank you, Rachel. Well, we have tonight a tale of two cities within the one city of Washington, D.C. One city is the dark place run by a gangster regime. That is what Pulitzer Prize-winning conservative columnist George Will calls Donald Trump and his lieutenants in the administration and the Congress a gangster regime. The other city that still lives in Washington is that fabled shining city on a hill. It is usually hard to see that shining city on a hill through the darkness of Washington that is always present, no matter which party is in power. But the light of the shining city broke through today and shamed the gangster regime into silence. A silence then that in itself is its own shame. And we can tell